Okay, hi everyone. I have a new video today. I'm doing more on Polish military clothing and equipment in the 16th and 17th century. So I had the chance to visit Poland again, and I actually took some photos from this book that I had seen during my first visit, but I didn't get a chance to take a look at. But it's a series of, I think, 3 or 4 volumes of that was published in 1960 by the Polish Military Museum. Here it is at the top, uh, and it's Żołnierze Polski, Polish soldiers, and this is the volume covering the 11th to the 17th century. Um, but of course, there's volumes that cover, I think it goes up to the 20th century, but they're really thick volumes. This is the publication information here, um, if you're interested in that. But I just like to make sure I cite sources properly on this channel as best I can. So I didn't take a picture of every page because, as you can see from the video playing now, it's a really hefty tome, full of pictures, most in black and white, some in color. So I went through it and just took photos of what I found interesting. Basically, I didn't have any particular method, simply because if I took pictures of everything, I would end up scanning it online. And I did check, and on some Polish used book sites, you can find these volumes, not just this one, but others as well, for relatively cheaply. So if you guys, those of you guys that are interested in 18th century and Napoleonics, you might want to try and find this one of the volumes in this series. Okay, so some of these I'll go through more quickly than others, but we have a German musketeer, probably a mercenary, kind of the typical pike and shot soldier we're familiar with for the 16th, early 17th century. Now here we have some more stereotypical Polish troops. The long coats, the arquebus. We have a mounted noble or officer. He's got the mace and the fur cloak, very Eastern looking. Still learning Polish, so I don't know if I can read the captions, but each plate has a caption that explains the details, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that for all of them, but it is there. Next we have more soldiers, another, this is, I do know this is Polish-Hungarian. So in a way, I mean, if you wanted to learn about Hungarian soldiers in this period as well, this is a good source as well, because they dressed fairly similarly. And for example, at one time, Poland and Hungary were unified. Transylvania, I should say, were unified under one ruler. So a lot of cultural and political ties between the two states. And what we have there on the left a noble or officer of some kind. He's got the mace, nice fine clothing. And on the right we have a more plain looking musketeer. Quite similar to a Janissary's outfit, which is interesting. We have a musketeer, musician, and some kind of other soldier. He's got the bardich and different kind of attire. Here we have a color image. It's got a halberdier and a musketeer. And I guess it says it's from around 1630. Here's the more of the bardich style infantry. Circa 1605, I guess, during the reign of Sigismund III. I think that's what it says anyway. More, these guys are carrying some kind of lance or pike. These look like nobles, maybe. I'm not sure. Here we have another type of cavalry, kind of similar to looking to a Tatar or Cossack, maybe. Probably more like a Tatar. He's got the quiver of arrows. I assume his bow is not in the picture, but yeah, quite similar to a Tatar. Another example of cavalry with lances and swords. These look like light cavalry. Of course, everyone's favorite, the winged hussars. Must need no introduction. But we can see some details on this illustration. He's got a holster for a pistol. It seems he's got a saber, the lance, the trademark wings. More cavalry. These are more hussars. It's another illustration of hussars. Have the fur cloak, the hammer, and the lance. The wings on this guy are slightly different than the ones in the previous picture, which is interesting. We have another example of infantry. One with a musket and some guys supporting him, I guess, with pikes. These are another example of, I assume, officers slash nobility. And we have the standard bearer on the right. This is a nice looking illustration. We've got the musketeer marching alongside a mounted noble with a warhammer. Musketeer, and I guess it's around 1578, and I think that's supposed to be a hetman that he's with. Some Western European type soldiers. Got the sword, a heavy plate mail, and the one on the left has a dagger. Another mounted figure with the heavy kind of Western style plate mail and an axe. Here we have another example of cavalry. The shield and the long lance are quite similar to Ottoman Turkish cavalry. And then we have a dismounted archer next to him. Another noble with some retainers. Looks like some archers with a musketeer. Nice illustration with color. This is some kind of this is a Lithuanian cavalryman, and he's got the lance, the shield, and also bow and arrow. So quite versatile. Fairly similar to the way the Ottoman cavalry performed. So kind of did a little bit of everything, and heavily armed, but also quite maneuverable. So interesting connections between these kind of eastern states where the terrain, I think, probably definitely played a role in developing how they approached cavalry, rather. Another colored illustration from around 1575. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the rest says. But another example of I've got a lance, shield, saber, but no bow and arrow with this character. Another group of mounted troops. This is 1567. And of course, I guess this is supposed to be around 1550s, 1560s, maybe. But kind of the 16th century gendarme. I think the heavily mounted knights are easy to lose track of in kind of the early Renaissance warfare, but they were still pretty dominant until late in the century. So, and even when kind of the lance and swords became less prevalent, they sort of turned into the heavily armored pistol cavalry. More kind of light, looks like some kind of light infantry. We've got bow and arrow, definitely in Eastern style. Let's see. This says it's around 1633. More infantry on display. This is Polish-Hungarian infantry. So there's the connection again. Because this was kind of the style of mercenary soldier in the East, because we think of, for the West, we have, the Landsknechts, or the kind of the infantry of the 30 Years' War. In the East, we have the Hajduk, as they were called, that wore these kind of outfits and carried this kind of weaponry. More hussars. Except this illustration, these guys have banners. And some light cavalry, horse archers with sabers. Yeah. So not all that different from the Ottomans, it seems like, but that makes sense. Okay, we've got kind of a Western style artillery unit, and these guys have muskets. I think this is the latest illustration from the, doesn't say, it doesn't give a date here, but I think this is later 17th century. Of course, it wouldn't be a Corvinus wargaming video without at least some Janissaries. Although I think this is supposed to be a Polish regiment that was equipped in the style of Janissaries, although I'm not sure, so I don't want to go too far with that claim. More of these kind of Janissaries or Janissary styled troops. Okay, here's a good. This is one of the main Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth units. The kind of the real heavy cavalry in a way. These are the Pancerni. As you can see, very similar to a Spahi. Got the mail coat, the gauntlets, saber, although no armor on his legs. And he's also got the long lance. But the horse also does not seem to have any kind of armored barding, just this kind of saddle cloth, cloth barding. Very interesting. I like these guys a lot. Looks like another Pancerni with warhammer, and he's got bow and arrow. More infantry, similar to what we've seen. These might be supposed to be Cossacks, but I'm not sure. More infantry. No need to dwell too much on this, but again, the longer coat, the Eastern style. We've got one with a pike and two with muskets. Although this illustration does show that they had some kind of satchel on their back, which is interesting. And I guess maybe it's either supposed to be just a walking stick or it could be a musket rest, although it's quite short to be a musket rest. And last image, we have some cavalry and soldier on foot. And it looks like these guys are supposed to be in a unit with similar, like colored uniforms, which is, people kind of say that this period there was no uniformity in militaries, but at least according to the illustration here, there was at least one example of kind of a uniform unit. Although, again, I can't read the text, so I'm not sure what the caption explains. Okay, well, I hope you liked this little tour, and maybe you found it helpful or interesting. I apologize that there's not a lot of commentary here, but like I said, I can't really read the captions, so it was hard to add anything too overly interesting. But I hope you liked the video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. And if you have any suggestions for maybe some research I could do with my skills and have questions, I can try and make a video about it, so just let me know in the comments. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.